Some breaking news this morning. President Biden putting his pardon power to use, just announcing he is commuting the sentences for over 1,500 people, including pardons for 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes. To put it in context, this move is seen as the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. This big unveil, of course, comes on the heels of Biden's full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter that got so much attention. This is likely to as well. CNN's Arlette Saenz has much more for us from the White House this morning. Tell us more, Arlette.
Well, Kate, President Biden is using one of the remaining tools available to him in his final days in office to grant clemency to a wide swath of individuals. The president saying that this boils down to trying to give people a second chance. Now, in all, the president is commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 individuals, the single largest act of clemency in a single day. To put that in perspective, the previous record was set by President Barack Obama when he commuted the sentences for 330 individuals in the final days that he was in office. Now, the White House says that these individuals who will be impacted were placed on home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the White House says that they have shown a commitment to rehabilitation and reintegration into their communities. On top of that act of clemency, the president is also pardoning 39 individuals who had non-criminal charges that they had faced, or not violent crimes that they had faced, and that includes drug offenses. Now, the president in his statement had said, quote, "America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. As president, I have the great privilege of extending mercy to people who have demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation, restoring opportunity for Americans to participate in daily life and contribute to their communities." Now, it comes as President Biden has faced significant pressure to grant more clemency in his closing days in office. There are some who are pushing for him to take several dozen inmates off of federal death row. But this pressure for more acts of clemency really has heightened since President Biden had issued that full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter Biden, which really drew fierce backlash from Republicans and Democrats in the president's own party after the president for months had said that he would not do so. Now, an administration official said that the president's pardoning of his son doesn't really impact his view overall on the clemency power. They say that he's been committed to that as president. He believes it's a way to make the country a bit more just, also in some ways to try to deal with some of the wrongdoings of the criminal justice system in the past. And this is unlikely to be President Biden's final act of clemency. He did say that he is planning to take more steps in the final weeks that he is in office.
America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. That's Joe Biden's message today as he commutes sentences for nearly 1,500 people and pardons 39 others convicted of nonviolent crimes. My panel is back. Priscilla, you cover the Biden White House. What more can you tell us?
Well, the president had been under increasing pressure to exercise his clemency power, and that is exactly what he did today. In fact, this is the biggest single-day act of clemency in modern history. So this is a large number of people. You mentioned there 1,500 individuals who he commuted their sentences. What we know about them is that they were in home confinement during the pandemic. And in those 39 individuals who were pardoned, they have shown, according to the president, a commitment to rehabilitating and to also for giving back to their communities. So that is how they have described these. We are getting some names and some details as to who they are. That includes a military veteran, a nurse, an addiction counselor. And he also previewed that there will be more actions to come. But of course, this comes on the heels of his own pardon for his son Hunter, a full and unconditional pardon that, of course, sparked uproar. We've also been reporting about some preemptive pardons that may be in the works, given concerns among some officials about being prosecuted or gone after when Donald Trump takes office. So it's all happening within that context, but certainly there are a lot of groups who have been calling for the president to do more on this, and they did get a big act on that front today.
One of the interesting things is that Joe Biden was one of the supporters of a very controversial 1994 crime bill that is seen as having fueled mass incarceration. He himself has conceded that he felt, some regret about that. And so a lot of this historic number of pardons definitely kind of comes from a lot of that regret that he has expressed over his presidency.
But can we talk about the Hunter Biden thing? Because, of course, the news this week was that Anita Dunn had a former top staffer of his, very loyal, came out and said, well, she didn't oppose the pardon itself. She opposed the way it was, in which it was done.
Can we listen to part of what she said?
As we were in the midst of the president-elect rolling out his nominees, and in particular, in the middle of a Kash Patel weekend, kind of throwing this into the middle of it was exceptionally poor timing, and that the argument is one that I think many observers are concerned about a president who ran to restore the rule of law, who has upheld the rule of law, who has really defended the rule of law, kind of saying, well, maybe not right now.
Let me just also give context that I know you're all aware of, but for our viewers to know. Anita Dunn and her husband, mostly Anita Dunn, has sparred with Hunter Biden and his attorneys over a lot of things, but particularly communication around all of the troubles that Hunter Biden and the attacks that he has been the subject.
Well, and she made it clear when she was speaking that this wasn't done from inside the White House, folks. This was done by the family and the personal lawyers, you know, not the official White House counsel, et cetera. So she clearly distanced the White House from all of that. And, you know, she made the point, which I think is well taken, which is who was thinking about the timing of all of this? You know, when you sit inside that White House, you have to think about when you do certain things. And as she pointed out, it was in the middle of this rocky rollout of cabinet appointees. And she was sort of saying, well, why step on that? Why step on that when Trump is getting some bad press? Leave it alone.
Yeah, although perhaps Kash Patel, the fact that he was picked, accelerated the announcement because...
Could have been.
Could have been. We don't know for sure, but we're going to do more reporting on that.